Hey guys, welcome to this video. Yes, iBGP versus eBGP. What is the difference? I did a video, basically introduction to BGP, very simple setup where I used eBGP. So we got interior and exterior. BGP itself is an exterior gateway protocol, and then such as an interior one would be OSPF, eIGRP, ISIS, something like that. BGP was designed really for the wider internet and talking between what are known as autonomous systems, so AS numbers, whereas iBGP kind of came in to when networks grew, so basically within inside an autonomous system, and then you could join them together. So here's my topology we'll be working off. Let's go through it so you can get a better understanding of what I'm going to show you. So effectively we have our router one here, which is our kind of main router. This is connected to the internet here on Ether 3. We've got a Linux machine plugged in on Ether 2, which I've called my DMZ, which is just running a Apache web server for testing. And then this then links in over the management network I've got set up to my other two routers. So I've got router 2 and router 3. They are pretty much configured the same as each other. Both have a Windows machine connected to the Ether 2 interface. And again, they're uplinked to the management. They don't have internet access, so they will be routing through this one. So what I'm going to show you, I'm not going to go into too much detail in the individual protocols. Well, that's probably needs to be split into separate videos, but I'm just going to show you. I'm going to configure up eBGP, pretty much like I did in the other video, and then I'm going to do the iBGP, and I'm going to show you the slight differences and things you need to be mindful of. So basically, these AS numbers here are what I'm going to be using for my eBGP, because that talks. The neighborships are made up of different AS, so different autonomous systems, whereas iBGP, we'll be using the same one for all of them. And I'll go into, so the main differences that I'll be looking at is the route propagation. So let's just get a pen up. So with if I create a neighborship between here and here, and then between here and here, these guys are going to share their routes with each other, and then these guys are going to share their routes with each other. And then whatever's learnt from one side, so this route here is going to be learnt over here. It will also then advertise it out to all its neighborships automatically within eBGP. Okay, whereas if we go with iBGP, we will create neighborships between these two and these two. We won't do this one, so we're not going to do the full mesh. But what's going to happen is this route will get learnt over here, and then this route will get learnt onto this one, and then this one's going to send out basically this route to these two. But what's not going to know, this router is not going to know this subnet, and this router is not going to know this subnet, which is where what we're going to do is create what's known as a route reflector, and we'll make this the route reflector, and then we have to make these route reflector clients. If you can read that. So basically what that means is it will then participate in sharing its routes known, but it will only share them if they are a route reflector client. Okay, so we'll go into that a bit more. Again, we go into the real nuts and bolts of each of these protocols. We're really gonna split that up over a separate video. So I just really want to give you a high level comparison of the two and how you configure both, really. So yeah, let's jump into it. What I will do is I will keep this topology to hand so we can refer back to it if we need to. So Okay, so here we go. Here's my router 1, which is the one that has the internet access. It's just what we mentioned about that. Bring up that topology again. So this guy over here, router 1. And then I've got 2 and 3. So if I can try and split these out. Okay, this is, I want a Windows 10 machine. I can only put 2 together rather than 3. It's annoying. Yep, okay. I have to just do 2 side by side. So we'll start with router 1, and we'll make a neighborship with my router 3 one to start with. Oops. Okay, and we're doing eBGP firstly, so we're going to use these as our router IDs and also our neighborship IP addresses, and then we're going to use these, so 31, which they basically match the last octet of the IP address, just to keep things nice and simple. So let's go to our routing, and then BGP. Okay, and we'll do the same over here, so we can do it side by side. Okay. So if you've ever done BGP on older firmware of MikroTik, probably anything 7, I think, we did it differently. We would create instances, and we would add networks and then add the connections between the two. Whereas now we create these templates, although we don't have to create the templates, we can do everything in the connection, but template then is a bit more scalable. So let's add a template for both, and then here is where we're going to specify the details of our of the router itself. So we can call this eBGP. Our AS for this side is 65531. Router ID is the management that I'm on, 31, and that's all we need for now, isn't it? Okay, and then we'll do the same over here, call it eBGP 65533, because I'm number 3. I'm not really sure why I started on router 3, but it doesn't really matter. 33. Okay. Now we do our peering. So we will call this eBGP. Actually, no, we'll just call this router 03. Templates. This is where we select the eBGP one. No, sorry, that's going to get, all this stuff will get pulled from that template we just made, but it's the remote side we want to configure. So this is our IP address of our router 3 and the AS, which is 65533, and iBGP. No, sorry, eBGP, aren't we? There we go. Okay. And then no session at the moment because we've got to do this side. Okay, we'll call this router 01. Okay, template is our eBGP one. Remote side is our management of our router 1 and 65531, and we're on eBGP. Okay, should we get a session on both sides come up? Provided I've done everything correctly. So let's establish this way. Okay, yes, is correct. Okay, just took a while, but there we go. So we now have our establish neighborship. But if we look in our routing table, we're not going to be getting any routes yet because we're not telling BGP to advertise anything just yet. So we'll leave it as that for now. And let's jump on our router 2. It's over here. No, where did it go? There's router 2. Okay, let's do the same. So, routing BGP template. So add another template. We'll call this one eBGP again. 32 is our router ID. So the router ID doesn't have to be an actual routable IP address. It's just an identifier. So it could be anything. So we could, because this is 2, it could be 2.2.2.2. It's not actually anything that's never going to route to it. That would be what the neighbor IP address is. So where it asks you for an IP address, it has to be an actual IP address that it route to, which then also could be a loop back if you wanted. Just if you're wondering, I've only chosen that because it's, just I'm trying to keep it nice and simple for people. But it's probably worth mentioning that it doesn't have to actually be a routable IP address. So now we can create our connection here to our router 01 template, and we just created remote addresses. See, that's where the address, it has to be an actual IP address that you can route to. 31, and the remote side is 31. eBGP. Okay. Now here I'm just going to copy this one, and I'm just going to change that to a 2, and that to a 2. Call it router 02. Okay, okay. Let's get a session. So establish this side. Just waiting for this side to respond. There we go. Cool. So we now have our full neighborships set up. Let's advertise some routes out. So in the other video I did, the basic setup, what I did was I used an address list and then applied that within the filter. So we get an IP firewall and then address list, and then in the filter we can do out policy, which works as well. I'll show you I've already set up the address list. That shouldn't be in there. Or the gateway. So yeah, that's just the local mission one. Which is all well and good if I click apply and we get our IP routes. You should get some. Go to the other one. It's on there. Is it not applied it to the individual? Oh, it has. Out filter. Sorry, not filter. Network. Sessions. Templates. Sorry, so the address list needs to be done under the out network. There we go. That's why it wasn't working. Okay, instantly we're getting the route of the this side advertised out. But what that means, that will come into that would be an issue when we do the iBGP stuff, because we're not going to ever, it won't advertise that out unless we're going to go and add each of the routes that are learned, and then we want to then re-advertise out, if that makes sense. Which, if you're going to go to that level of control, it's fine, but it's not as scalable and as dynamic as some people would like. So the other option is we can do a filter. So we get rid of that. That'll kill our routes. So we go to routing and filters. Now these are basically like almost like a script, basically saying if the destination is within that range, you accept it, and also then within that. So I'm basically going to say advertise any routes out which are in the basically the 192.168, the class C range, and then the 172.16 section of the class B. Make sure you say in. You can do equals, but equals then would be the exact route itself. So we want to basically summarize. Or then we could basically just do you could have a second one which basically anything else deny. So hopefully that's clear. That's basically the simplest way of doing it, because what I'll show you will happen. So if I close that, and then the filter, out filter, this time we do BGP, that doesn't actually tell BGP to advertise any of those routes out, as we can see is happening. But what happens is, in fact, I'll turn that off first, and now we go to our templates, sorry again, and we go to extra, output redistribute. So if we click on that, this is basically the types of routes we want to redistribute out. So we can do connected, which basically is any routes that's associated with this router. So anything that's on one of these interfaces, of which we have three, these three here. But this is we don't need the rest of our network to know about this route, because this is our internet peering route. We don't need, it already knows about these routes because it's on, it each has one of these, it has an IP in this network anyway, which is how they're talking to each other. So we'll just do connected. As you can see, there we go, bang. So we've now got two of these routes come in, and obviously it's a backup one because it's a higher distance. And yeah, we're getting that one, which is the uplink network, which we don't need to know about. So this is where the filter comes in. So basically now what we're going to do is apply that filter, and apply. There we go. And because I'm using 10 dot and 10 dot for both of these, and I'm not allowed those out, you probably wouldn't want to be as open as I've done it. You would want to be a bit more controlled, but yeah, hopefully that explains and shows you. So now we've got a better set of routes filtering out there. Okay, but we're not actually advertising anything back to our rest of our peers. So in our routing table on here, so you can see I don't have any BGP routes coming in. So we need to do the same over here. Now this one, because this is just going to be peering with these two are just going to be peering with our main one, and we've only got the one subnet on here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the output filter. I'm not going to do an output filter. I'm going to do it using the address list way. IP firewall address list. See, I've already got one set up there, BGP, which is the one for router 3. So under my template, and the reason I'm doing it under templates is because then it applies it to both of these connections. You can then in here change them, if that makes sense. So the template is a kind of global setting for these, whichever one is using that template. It's just a bit more of a one change to make, unless you need more, individual control. So apply that, we should get, there we go, straight away we're getting that advertised to there. And if we jump on router 2, see, it's advertising it. So although on router 2 and 3 aren't peering with one another, this is advertising to here, and then he's advertising, by default he's advertising all of his BGP routes out, providing they pass through that filter, those set of filters we set up. So now we need to do the same on router 2. So it's the default one, eBGP filter BGP and then we got those two. So hopefully that's clear. We've now got full visibility of all our networks, and yeah, we could just leave it at that. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what we would do with iBGP. Obviously this is a very small network because I'm trying to show you them basically as keep it as simple as possible. I don't want to go into overcomplicate it just for the sake of it. But yeah, so this probably would be a fine setup just for a small network like this, or you would just use something like ISPF or another interior routing protocol. But that was what iBGP was kind of developed for, so we might as well look at using that now. So let's go on to our let's close some of these windows and keep our routing table, get rid of the interface one, keep BGP, we can probably get rid of the address one. Okay, so now let's create a new template, and this one's going to be called iBGP. Okay, now this time we're going to have the same AS across all of them, so we use 30. We can set our router ID. What's this, 31? Okay. We won't set anything on there just yet. And yeah, we'll do the same filter out and advertise our, because I've already explained that. We might as well set that up now. Okay, now we turn these two off. Actually no, we won't, we'll just edit these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my template to be iBGP, which if I apply it, that should change my, there we go, changes that to that. But we're going to change this to iBGP, and our remote AS is going to be the same. Okay, and everything else will be the same based on our template we just made. Okay, if I was to try and do iBGP now, it'll complain remote AS and local role combination. So basically the local role can't be iBGP because the remote AS is different to me. Okay, because we have to be within the same autonomous system. Let's just do that, and we'll change that to iBGP. We can change that to 0, and now it should be happy. Okay, so that's changed like that. Now we'll do the same over here. So add a new one, iBGP 65530. Give it the same. 21, 30. What are we on? Router 2, so 32. We want to again, we're going to advertise out our BGP network on this one. Okay, let's change this one to be iBGP, sorry. I'll tell you that, so it resets that to the right one. Now our role can change to iBGP. Apply. There we go. It's got the filter. Already we're getting routes coming through. So I'm learning my upstream ones, and he's learning those ones from router 2. Now we just do the same to router 3. Template iBGP router AS 655 30 10.221.33 output network BGP. Okay, connection. Edit this one again, iBGP. Change that to be that, and then we set that to iBGP. Apply, and again we should get our upstream routes come through. There we go. So now our main router 1 can see both of these, and now, but my router 3 is only seeing the routes advertised from router 1, and same on router 2 is only learning the router 1 routes, but is advertising out. So effectively, like I said at the beginning, 3 and 2 are advertising up between these two, but anything learned on router 1 from either neighborship is not getting passed on. So this is where we need to change it, and we're going to do that route reflector. So we're going to make router 1 a route reflector. So basically it controls the routes within our autonomous system. Now to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to change this connection here on both of them. Okay, something I didn't mention at the beginning, that the firmware that I'm on, 15.3, when I was trying to set this up before in the latest firmware, which I think was 7.18, the only two options I had was iBGP and iBGP route reflector, and not this route reflector client. That seems to have gone. However, when I set this to route reflector, so I make this router a route reflector, and you'll see now when I click OK, without changing this one to be a client, which normally is what you would have done, it can just stay on iBGP. That will automatically make it basically a client to the route reflector, if that makes sense. So if we look on our other one, which I haven't changed the, so that's router 3, and look on router 2. So that's advertising the routes out just by learning from router 2, if that makes sense. So my neighborship between router 2 and router 1 is now treating router 1 as the route reflector, and that basically means that any routes it's learning is advertising out to its iBGP neighbors. So I set that one to route reflector as well, just so it learns, so it advertises them out properly. We've now got our, so we've learned those two there. Sorry, this would be so much easier if I could show you both, all 3 routers at the same time. See, now this one, why has that not got any at all? Something's happened there. So iBGP, yep, that's all good. So router 2. Just stop that. Kill that session. Start that again. Oh, there we go. Stopping and starting it often works. Yeah, so it's now they're both participating in learning all the routes from the route reflector. So again, if I turn off that one, stop both of them, start both of them again. See, I'm now learning all the routes. So just by setting one of them as telling it as a route reflector, they're now participating in sharing those routes. But yeah, there's probably a lot more to go into with the route reflector stuff, and the iBGP stuff and the eBGP stuff, in terms of, you know, your AS numbers and the real functionality, what it's used for. But yeah, hopefully that's been clear enough. Very high level, quick setup of everything there for you. But anyway, yeah, please comment below if you've got any questions, if I've missed anything or you think something could be explained a bit clearer. I'm happy to take any feedback, and then if I have to make another video to clarify any bits, or you know, particular focusing on a particular thing, then I'm happy to. Or if you've got anything to do with MikroTik networking, anything like that, please comment, leave a suggestion, and like and subscribe as always, and I'll see you on the next ones. Thanks.